2020. Sorry, we're a little late coming on. We had a little bit of a technical difficulties as things go with running a live stream an event that you typically would be in front of a group of people in a room on campus. But happily, everything's pulled together, and I'm excited to host this event and have everyone here together to hear from this group of seniors about the work that they've been doing on campus and their experiences over the last years while they've been here. My name is Rob Bellin. I'm a professor in the Department of Biology. I'm also the director of the Vicari program. And we started the Share Your Magis event last year, right? Not as an event related to this distance learning environment that we're in now, but as something to give seniors a chance to reflect on their overall Holy Cross experience and at least give a group of them, right, a chance to give a short speech at the end of their senior year to reflect on that. And a lot of that was in the overall goal of the, if we think about the Jesuit idea of an examen, thinking back on a day or a week or a year or a project or an idea, and thinking about what you went through in that time and what you can learn from that. And then we wanted to encourage seniors to have a chance to do that. So during last academic year, we developed this speaking program. And we looked to a lot of places, a lot of campuses were doing elevator talk competitions and things like that, and brought together people from all sorts of offices across campus: student affairs, academic affairs, chaplain's office, athletics, and most importantly, the Student Government Association. And part of the reason I say the most important part there is that it was a direct student input on what was going on. And then secondarily, it was basically direct input on what we should name this program, right? And by naming it Share Your Magis, by naming it Share Your Magis, right, we had the realization that, excuse me here, I'm not sure if anyone can see me. It looks like the speaker feed is on Jim Cahill, and I'm the person who's speaking, so I'm going to keep talking, but Jim, you might want to see if you can shift that somehow. So anyways, like I was saying, the name Share Your Magis came from the seniors. The seniors last year and the SGA said that they thought it would be great to think about this Jesuit idea of more, right? Which is the Magis meaning more, which is a long-standing Jesuit idea of how do we essentially think about what do we give to the world, right? The more or the greater that is important in, especially in how do we help other people in the world. And so what they said is maybe what we could ask seniors to do is to reflect on how do, essentially what is the more that they have done? What has been part of their Holy Cross experience that they thought was incredibly meaningful and that they would like to share with other people? So I saw a message from Jim again. So Jim, on my screen at least, it looks like you are the speaker, even though I'm speaking. So I'm not sure if my video is going out in the feed or if yours is. So anyways, I'm gonna keep talking, but that was what I was talking about as a potential technical problem there. Okay, so this year, right, we ended up in a different situation, right? Whereas last year we had this event and we had it on campus. And I hear that I'm the image on the stream, so I'm gonna keep talking, right? So, okay, excellent. Thank you for all the feedback, actually, that everything is going well. It looks different on my screen, and I'm actually happy to hear that, although I don't know if you need to be staring at me, at least I'm the one you're looking at right now. So this year we put the call out for speakers, right? And part of the idea behind having this was to essentially have an open call for speakers. Any member of the senior class could nominate themselves, could nominate anyone else in the class, and anyone on the campus community, right, could nominate someone to speak. And we had 85 speaker nominations come in from 78 different people, right? And those 78 different people, right, then ended up giving us a total of 79 different speakers, right? So some people nominated the same people. We invited those 79 speakers then basically to accept, right, the speaker candidates, right, to accept the chance to speak. And a fairly large number of them did. And what they had to do that was to, say, yes, I'd like to do this, and actually go in and record a 3-minute video. And even last year when we were all in person for the final talks, we still had that recording phase, because it gave this selection committee, right, a group of people from across campus, the chance to look at those things and also look at those talks, and then also look at the different involvements in the different majors and all these things that this group of students that are potential speaker candidates had done. And somehow, by going through all that work, and I don't envy them that work, right, they narrowed it down to the 10 speakers you're going to hear from today. So it's a speaking event, but like I said, it's a speaking competition. We made the decision as we planned this last year that there was something a little extra that we add, and maybe it's just a motivation, right, to really jump in and do this, right, by also making it a competition. But I actually think one of the most interesting things about making a competition is that we end up with a judging team as well. Right. So not just the selection committee, right, that narrowed us down to 10, but we have 3 people that will join us tonight. And again, have the unenviable task of going through and having to listen to these talks, right, and then discuss this and award the top 3 speakers at the end of the night. All right, so I'm going to introduce them one at a time. So Michelle Murray is the first speaker. The first judge. She's the vice president for student affairs at the college and dean of students. Michelle, can you say hi, please?
Hello, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation and good luck to all of our speakers. Very excited to hear from you.
Thanks so much. Michelle, as you can imagine, has been extra busy these days, right? Trying to keep everything going as we think about this year and what's going to come and all this kind of stuff, but has been, wonderfully dedicated from the beginning when I asked her to be part of this. And so I'm very happy to have here. The next judge is Marcus Blossom. Marcus is the director of athletics on campus, also a very busy man, so very pleased to have him. Marcus, if you can jump in, please.
Hello, hi Rob, and thanks for allowing me to judge. Good luck to all the speakers. Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you very much, Marcus. Again, someone that when I reached out to him, Marcus wrote back immediately and said, sign me up, right? He said, sign me up before he even knew the date, right? Basically, he was just gonna make it work no matter what. So I'm very pleased to have him as part of this as well. And athletics is such a huge part of this campus. 25% of our students, right, are athletes on campus. And so I'm really happy to have someone representing athletics as part of the judging team here this year. Right. And then following what we started last year, which is having a fairly recent graduate serve as also one of the judges, Vasari Moreta is joined us here today as a third judge, right? She's a Holy Cross class of 2018, so not too long ago, although before we started Share Your Magis. So she wouldn't have unfortunately ever had the chance to be part of this before, but I'm glad she's here today. She's on the Holy Cross Board of Trustees as a recent alum, and also she's a Penn teaching fellow at Roxbury Latin School. So she's teaching there, but also working on her master's degree at the same time. So thanks for joining us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to the speeches and best of luck.
All right, excellent. So it's working perfectly on my screen again now, so I can see that I'm the speaker, so I'll stop worrying about that. Although what I'm gonna do now is shift it over to our actual student speakers. So the format that we'll follow now for the next half hour or so is that I will introduce each of the speakers by telling you their name, what their principal involvements on campus, and giving you the title of their talk. We'll shift over to them, let them give their 3-minute talk. I only warned them that if it seemed at 3 minutes that they were not anywhere near stopping, I would jump in and try to get them to stop soon. But otherwise, we'll just kind of let them say their piece here with the goal of these being short, brief little stories that I know they've worked hard to pull together to be ready tonight. So our first speaker is Christine Church. She's a double major in philosophy and psychology. On campus, she was involved in alternative college theater, the chaplain's office, the CBL program, SBIP, and the title of her speech is Seeking and Finding.
Thanks, Rob. Stop, look, listen. What hidden rewards lie behind the seemingly mundane? Where's the ordinary, inviting me to see something deeper and more meaningful? These were some of the questions that were first presented to me when I chose to participate in the spiritual exercises in May of my junior year. The exercises are an invitation to look beyond the sometimes rote nature, class, rehearsal, homework, and see where we are called towards a deeper understanding of ourselves, our lives, and where God or some other spiritual being may fit into that vision. The self-exploration that I had on the exercises led to personal and spiritual development that went past the retreat and throughout the course of my senior year on campus. This growth manifested throughout my life, as I chose to participate in new types of courses, do different activities, and form new friendships outside of my usual groups. But best of all, I think it allowed me to re-encounter much of the joy of what I had already come to love about Holy Cross. I felt a newly invigorated curiosity for the classes I was taking as part of my philosophy major, while simultaneously driven to take new courses that further explored the values of service and discernment that I had begun to explore in the exercises. I found a deeper sense of fulfillment in the work I was doing with my friends in the theater department throughout our sold-out run of cabaret earlier this semester. I felt a renewed desire to participate in new things as I took my first CBL course and had my first spring break immersion trip, which further confirmed my choice to spend my first year out of Holy Cross engaged in service with the JVC. These experiences transformed the way I saw myself and my Holy Cross education, but accordingly made the decision that we had to leave campus and become a community in dispersion all the harder to hear. Those joys and feelings of fulfillment, where were they to be found now? Were they limited to the unique community that we all love about Holy Cross? I want here to return to that idea of hidden rewards, the magic and potential for wonder in the small things. Even at home, I have found an abundance of these moments. My family Facebook group chat, after sitting idle for over a decade, is buzzing with fun articles and videos again. My friends and I host weekly pub nights where stories about our days and random talks about life keep us going until well after midnight. New opportunities, like the Communitas retreat, allowed me and a fellow group of students, many of whom I never met when on campus, to reflect on a series of personal and spiritual questions. I'll close by returning to those first ideas that were presented to me on the exercises. Stop, look, and listen. Listen to the invitation to see life's rewards in the seemingly mundane. To find appreciation, both in the new and the routine. Though I may no longer be on campus, this appreciation has allowed my sense of renewed curiosity to remain. A sense of curiosity that is entirely thanks to my time spent at Holy Cross. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Christine. Really excellent talk. All right. So our next speaker is Dylan Clancy. Dylan is a major in health studies with a minor in neuroscience. He's in men's club volleyball, he's a writer's workshop consultant, worked as a fall gateways orientation leader, member of the Fools on the Hill singing group. He's a Communitas retreat leader, spring break immersion programs co-leader. Not sure how you fit all that in, Dylan, but very impressive. And the title of his talk is, What If We Went Forward Instead?
Thanks, Professor Bellin. So, what if we went forward instead? Title credit adopted from a meme published by @BrennaQuinlan. As we are leaving one stage of our lives and entering the next, we feel excited but lost, prepared yet confused, and empowered while unsure. In times such as these, I tend to hold on a bit too strong, unaccepting of all that I will lose. I will no longer rush into the science library only to sit down at the same seat for hours on end, shoes off, eating copious amounts of watermelon Sour Patch to keep me awake at night, getting lost in my work and realizing that it's actually cool to be passionate about academics. I will no longer come alive in the middle of Cool Beans on a Thursday night, singing my heart out to a song that I have been rehearsing with the Fools. I will no longer travel around the country on spring break immersion programs, learning about different communities of people to seek out how they are doing. I will no longer be able to converse with students in the writer's workshop, usually about a Montserrat paper that they swear the world depends upon. I will no longer be overly enthusiastic at 7 a.m. on a late summer's morning as I welcome the next year's class of first years to campus as their orientation leader. I will no longer pass, set the ball to my teammates on my club volleyball team, in which we intentionally leave off the word club when boasting about our athletic selves. I will no longer worship with other students in the echoing tranquility of St. Joseph's Chapel. I will no longer exchange a smile and a, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? With a peer as I quickly rush to class. I will no longer see my classmates give a talk in REM, perform in an MSO event, or act in a production or play in a game. I will no longer be a part of something bigger than myself that makes me, well, me. But what if we went forward instead? What if we use the knowledge that we learned during our endless hours in the library or our time spent actively engaging in our classes to work diligently on an endeavor that we are passionate about? What if we continue to lift up our voices that we once sang within Cool Beans, spoke within REM, or cheered with at orientation to fight for what we believe in? What if we allow the stories that we have heard from our conversations in Kimball, the communities that we travel to during spring break, to guide us toward being individuals for and with others? What if we take the hours we trained, played, rehearsed, prayed, wrote, thought, studied, calculated, discovered, experimented to build our resiliency for what life decides to throw at us? What if we carry the qualities of the individuals we have met that inspired us, challenged us, taught us, and loved us, to then be that for someone else that we meet along the road? What if we bring together all that Holy Cross gave us in the past in order to successfully carry out our lives in the future? Now I ask again, what if we went forward instead?
Thanks very much, Dylan. Excellent talk. All right, our next speaker is Julia Degastino. She's an English major and worked in the Residence Hall Association, worked in liturgical ministry, and was a work study student in Campion and Dinan. And the title of her talk is My Desire for Connection.
Thank you so much, Professor Bellin. Since the beginning of my Holy Cross journey, I've had a deep desire for a sense of community. The other day, I was going through old files on my computer in order to productively procrastinate as the semester wrapped up, and I stumbled across my very first college assignment. The prompt was, "What do you live for?" My answer was stories, people's stories. I lived for connection. That deep desire for connection and community, well, that shaped my time at Holy Cross. I desperately longed for a sense of community, yet I struggled with feeling like I never quite belonged. And that's not to say that I didn't find community at Holy Cross. I did, for sure. Holy Cross's first ever virtual retreat, Communitas, just wrapped up, along with Women's Spiritual Journey. And even though our interactions lately were through a screen, I was able to make what I believe to be genuine connections with people. Why? Well, I think our motivations for joining were similar. In a time of isolation and unfamiliarity, we craved community, the community that we know and love. I'm sure many people will be surprised to find out that I've struggled with feeling like I don't belong. I mean, I'm the girl who will literally yell across the crowd at Hovel or Kimball Quad to get your attention while waving as if you're the first person I've seen in 100 years. If it helps to picture, imagine when you reconnect with people after quarantine. Did you picture it? Yep, that's what I did. That's how I reacted to seeing people daily. I just love making someone smile or laugh. I love saying hi to someone and referring to them by name. I've always had a genuine desire to get to know people. I've had people tell me that I'm always so happy or that I have no shame when it comes to yelling across public places. But that all comes from my desire to help ensure that people feel seen, because I know what it's like to feel like you don't belong. I've always felt like if there's something I can do every day, no matter how small it is, to make sure that someone feels seen or that they matter, then I'm absolutely going to do that. We all climbed Mount St. James every day together, but so many people climb their mountains alone. Everyone has something that they're going through a cross to bear. And despite not always feeling like I belonged, I'm grateful for Holy Cross and for the lives that I touched and the lives that touched me, the people and the memories that made saying goodbye back in March so hard, and just as hard today as we end our 4 years together on the Hill.
Thanks so much, Julia. Really meaningful talk. All right, our next speaker is Jana Hardy. Jana is a major in international studies, member of the SGA cabinet, plays a role in the liturgical ministry and the CBL program. And the title of her talk is Present.
Finding God in all things. What does this Jesuit slogan really mean? And how do I apply it to my everyday life? While I heard this phrase countless times during my high school years, it somehow really clicked as I grew at Holy Cross. Today, I want to share with you 3 ways in which I encounter God: through my relationship, studies, and interactions with the natural world. So over the past few years, I've developed many meaningful friendships. On one of my first days on the Hill, I knocked on Father Harmon's office door, and he welcomed me in even though he had no idea who I was or why I was visiting him. Ever since that day, he has taught me the immense value of listening and being present with others. My friends have also been a source of God's light in my life as we laughed over Kimball meals, de-stressed in yoga classes, and attended 7 p.m. Mass together. Through these experiences within the Holy Cross community, I have gained a greater understanding of how God works through all individuals. Now, I want to talk about how amazed I am by the intellect and creativity of my professors, peers, and the authors we read in class. I see God in action through their work. In one of my courses, we learned about feminist theology, and I would have never thought so critically about how we name and imagine God without this exposure. These feminist theologians struck me with their analysis of biblical texts, and Professor Eggemeyer led meaningful conversations that I will never forget. We have all been given bright, agile minds, and I encounter God in how people apply this gift. And lastly, finding God in the natural world is, well, the most natural for me. I could step out of Wheeler on a quiet spring morning, feel the sunshine on my face, and hear squirrels rustling in the background, and know that God was present. While on the spiritual exercises last fall, I would sit and try to reflect in one of the nooks of the Joyce Contemplative Center, but all I could focus on were the piles of dead flies and ladybugs in the windowsills. When I brought this up to Father Frank during spiritual direction, he challenged me to think about how this could be the way God was communicating with me. While I still am not sure what God was trying to tell me through the piles of dead insects, this experience reminded me how God has created everything: the trees and the streams, chipmunks, woodpeckers, and even the little bugs. So finding God in all things is our Jesuit mission, but it has also become my way of life. It has definitely taken some effort and practice, but I have learned how to be quiet and to notice, how to be present to God and the people around me and in this beautiful world. While my time on Mount St. James is coming to a close, my experiences in finding God all around me is something I will carry with me forever. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jana. Very nice talk. All right, our next speaker is Nuri Herrera. Nuri has majors in psychology and Spanish with a concentration in Latin American, Latinx, and Caribbean studies. Served as a peer career assistant, a student library assistant, and in the Latinidad Identidad program and the LASO program. And the title of her talk is Write Your Own Story.
Thank you, Professor Bellin, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone joining us today on this live stream. As Professor said, my name is Nuri, and today I will be talking about a quote that I recently used on my finals. An African proverb that says the following: until the lion learns to write, the story will always glorify the hunter. I've chosen this quote because I think it's what best resembles what I did. I wrote my story, my own college story. You see, before going to Holy Cross, a lot of people would say to me, "You're really going to leave? You're going to leave your town, the ghetto, to go to a 4-year college and live on a campus where most people won't look like you?" They would also say, "You're going to be a completely different person who forgets about their cultural background." And they were partly right. I ended up being someone different, but in a good way. I became wiser, stronger, but not someone who forgot about where they came from. I didn't let my college experience be based on the stereotypes I had heard. Like many of you, my story began on May 1st, 2016, when I submitted what I call a blind deposit. I say it was a blind deposit because I never really looked into the school. Besides what my counselor had told me, what's available on the website, And of course, the lovely view of O'Kane Hall when I went into admissions for an interview, not even a tour, just an interview. I was afraid. I was afraid of college, afraid of courses, professors, exams, afraid of not fitting in, afraid of living with a complete stranger who ultimately became one of my closest friends. Sometimes I felt that I didn't even deserve to be there. But I pushed myself away from this fear and decided to write my story. I went from being a freshman who barely left the room and went home almost every weekend to wanting to know more, to ask more, to be more involved in events with friends, to eventually taking on jobs in the library and the Center for Career Development, joining RSOs, and going on immersion trips with students that I only knew from class. I ultimately gained the knowledge, the strength, and the courage to study in a foreign country for nearly 6 months. That was a life-changing experience that allowed me to fully become immersed in another culture. And it was through these experiences that I was able to develop friendships that I'm sure will last a lifetime, and relationships with professors who have taught me to do everything with passion and to believe in myself. These experiences shaped me into who I am today, prepared me for what's coming ahead, and have taught me to give back to community in the same way that Holy Cross gave to me. I realized that when someone doubts me, I must thank them for challenging me. So I, as a young female Latina student, chose to take the reins, break away from those stereotypes, and become a lion who wrote my own story to let my voice be heard. I challenge you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuri. Such a wonderful talk. Our next speaker is Carrie Larkin. Carrie is a double major in biology and music. She served as a research assistant in biology as well as a teaching assistant. She's a BioBuddy peer tutor, first-year research advancement program mentor. She worked with Holy Cross bands, the Jazz Ensemble, the Jazz Combo, Spring Break Immersion Program, and worked as a lector with campus ministry. And the title of her talk is Finding Supportive Community Across Disciplines. Carrie.
Thank you, Professor Bellin. Perhaps my favorite aspect of my Holy Cross experience is the immense sense of community that exists on the Hill. This community comes from many different sources, but some of the most meaningful communities to me are closely tied to my academic interests as a biology and music double major. While this academic program led me to spend a fair amount of time attempting to find the most efficient route to run from the science complex to Brooks Hall, it also led me to join a variety of activities. Although these activities are different in many ways, there are also commonalities among them. And one of the most striking is this shared sense of a supportive community. The marching, concert band, and jazz ensemble were the first musical communities I became a part of on campus. While the concepts of listening to each other and supporting each other are somewhat inherent to musical groups as the musicians combine their sounds carefully to bring a piece to life, and this is what makes performing together so special, and it's something I've been missing a lot of as we've been in quarantine, and as we pass what would have been concert season on the Hill. But what's unique about my Holy Cross ensembles is that these characteristics required for successful music making also translate to interactions among individuals beyond the end of the music. For example, band dinners before or after every rehearsal are a given. And along with a lot of laughter at these meals, there's also a constant interest among members to listen to how each other's days are going and offer assistance or advice for any kind of problem someone may be having. These members created a friendly, welcoming community committed to helping each other. I found many parallels between my musical communities and those I joined as I became more involved in the biology department. The commitment in the department to helping and supporting each other in learning is tremendous. When I became a BioBuddy tutor, my favorite part was the friendly engagement with other students. And I was always amazed by the willingness of so many students, both those serving as tutors and those coming in with questions, to work together toward this common goal of further understanding the material. When I joined Professor Mondu's research lab, it was similarly a highly collaborative environment. I would work with my lab mates from everything from investigating scientific questions to preparing new solutions. But lab also became a place to catch up with each other, welcome new members, and work together and with others in the department to solve any problem that may have arisen. This was a group I could always count on. I am truly grateful to have been a part of such friendly, caring, and collaborative environments and communities composed of individuals that support me as a whole person. My fellow musicians have been among the first to arrive at my biology research presentations, and likewise, my lab mates have been eager audience members at my concerts. These communities to me epitomize what it means to help and support each other. This is the kind of atmosphere I hope to find or foster among other groups once I leave Holy Cross. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Carrie. Very excellent talk. All right, our next speaker is Justin McCook. Justin is a political science major in SGA Judicial Council Chair. He's in the Alexander Hamilton Society as Vice President. He's a Kimball Captain. Worked with Working for Worcester as an Associate Director of Site Development. He worked as a tour guide through admissions. He was a spring break immersion leader and part of the college honors program. Again, I don't know how you managed all that, Justin. Pretty impressive. The title of his talk is A 14-Year-Old College Student Growing Out of Insecurity.
Thank you, Professor Bellin. And thank you to everyone else who's gone before and given great talks and put thoughtful words to the unprocessed feelings that I've had since leaving Holy Cross. Given the time constraint, I'm going to avoid any extraneous comments and just begin. So I'm going to start way back at the beginning, like before gateways. As I navigated the college admissions process, I was different from the average high school senior. I was short, 5 feet 6 inches. Being short wasn't the whole problem though. I looked really young. As an 18-year-old, I was typically pegged at 13, maybe 14. During Accepted Students Day, a future classmate asked me if my older sibling was thinking about coming to Holy Cross. I explained to him that no, it was actually me, a kid who could easily fit in an 8th grade classroom that was starting college in the fall. Ironically, we became great friends and both have a younger sibling in the class of 2022. While I did not get angry at comments like this, they contributed to how I carried myself on campus. I spent a lot of freshman first year walking around campus with my head down. I did not want to stick out as the kid who looked really young. One of my best friends of the last 3 years claims that during our first year, I wouldn't even return a friendly hello in passing. I don't doubt it. Fortunately, Milady Basement was a refuge where I felt comfortable being picked on for my youthful appearance. We were a bunch of kids just trying to figure out our place in the college community. Well, I shot up 7 inches during college and consequently grew out of this insecurity. There are always ways I can find to justify not immersing myself fully in community. The most common I use is that I'm socially awkward. While the timing of my growth spurt is certainly unique, I know that I'm not unique for feeling unwelcome for some superficial reason or other. It's not easy to overcome the real fears that are attached to being vulnerable with anyone but the best of friends, but I believe it is worth it, and I have made concrete steps toward this goal. For example, this March on my spring break immersion trip in West Virginia, I ate a worm out of a mulch pile for $5. I was texting this kid I know the other day, and he made a bold claim. He says, "Everyone thinks weirdly, but not everyone makes it known that they do." There's this perception that when we are honest about the weird things that make us who we are, we will be ostracized for being different. Holy Cross has taught me the exact opposite. A good community is defined by honesty and vulnerability. Suddenly, being yourself becomes more important than fitting in. These communities are the kind that help you grow. In my case, I grew 7 inches, which means I'm 6 feet tall. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. That was a really great talk. Our next speaker is Will McAvoy. Will is in the biology program and on a pre-health track and is also part of the NROTC program. He worked as a community-based learning intern and was also involved in biology research. And the title of his talk is The Crossroads of Service, Carlin, O'Neill, and Queen Street. Will?
Thank you, Professor Ballin, and thank you everyone for sharing their experiences already. I really appreciate it. So I'll go ahead and begin. Community engagement with the elderly, NIH-funded research, and Naval ROTC. Where could these three experiences become intertwined in 4 short years? The answer up front, the College of the Holy Cross with its Jesuit liberal arts education. As a first-year student, I selected Exploring Differences with Professor Ginny Ryan for my Montserrat seminar. This course had a community-based learning component which required me to spend 2 hours a week in the city of Worcester, conducting service learning at the St. Mary Center on 39 Queen Street. Little did I know that this would turn into a passion for the elderly in the greater Worcester community and beyond. After my first year, I became a CBL intern and continued to visit at the St. Mary Center each week. As a member of Naval ROTC and on Holy Cross's campus in Carlin Hall, I was often paired with veterans who had anywhere from a few months left to a few days. Each veteran passed on time-tested adages that they learned during their time in the service. One of these residents was Commander Cliff, who completed Naval ROTC at neighboring Yale University and was a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Nearly every day, he was dressed in khakis with a US Navy polo and a Navy veteran cap. As I get closer to May 22nd, when I and all other students in Naval ROTC across the country go active duty, I reflect more and more on their stories. When not paired with a veteran, I was often matched with someone who had a passion for biology, as that is my major. During my junior year, I visited a retired nun named Sister Ellen, who spent her life teaching biology to students in the greater Worcester community. One day, she mentioned her passion for gardening, but was now confined to a wheelchair and couldn't reach the garden beds in the ground. In response to this, another Holy Cross student and I applied for and received a Marshall grant through the J.D. Power Center to install elevated garden beds that were wheelchair accessible. Unfortunately, Sister Ellen passed away a few weeks before the New England weather cooperated and everything was ready to plant, but I take comfort knowing that she watches us from above. As I'm interested in a career in the science field, during my senior year, I wanted to join a research lab in O'Neill Hall. Professor Julia Paxson gave me the opportunity this past year to work on my own project under her guidance. Her lab focuses on cellular aging and lung mesenchymal stromal cells of dogs. I was tasked with creating an experiment that could quantify levels of reactive oxygen species in these dog cells. Known as ROS molecules, these chemicals often illustrate cellular aging and thus aging of the entire organism. In the early spring of my senior year, I began to connect the dots. My experiences caring for the elderly drove me to learn more about cellular aging in the lab. One day, I hope that my research can make a difference for those aging in the world, but until then, I have plenty more to learn. To me, this is the power of a Jesuit liberal arts education, the combination of social justice for the elderly, advanced research and developmental biology of aging, and Naval ROTC. I'm thankful for everyone who supported me over the past 4 years in bringing my seemingly different passions together. To my mentors, advisors, professors, and fellow students, thank you for an amazing college experience.
Thanks, Will. Excellent talk. All right, our next speaker is Eli Nasser. A psychology major, worked as an Odyssey mentor in the MPE program as an Ignite leader. And the title of his talk is Planting Seeds.
Thank you, Professor Bellin. And to all my peers, thank you for sharing. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Again, my name is Elijah Nassar, but everybody calls me Eli. I had never gone by Eli prior to Holy Cross. It's not even a name used in my home country. But I want to try something different, to be something different. Before Holy Cross, I was the quiet, overweight, brace-faced kid who did not really have friends. It put me in a strange, unhealthy headspace, and I wanted to let go of that coming into college. I wanted to let go of who I was and become someone better and set my past on fire. Luckily for me, setting things on fire was the first thing I was told to do entering summer gateways. Although St. Ignatius recommends we set the whole world on fire, but baby steps. See, it starts within us, this fire. We choose what to simplify to ash and what to use as our igniter. And with this, we are able to share our light with the world. I mean, we could also go around tossing matches and lighting candles, but I'm pretty sure that's not what St. Ignatius was talking about. But jokes aside, it takes a special place, a special atmosphere to find yourself able to let go of your past and to share your light with those around you. I can't think of any place that would have allowed me to plant these seeds of strength and hope to the extent that Mount St. James has. It began with the first friends I made during Odyssey and Gateways, many of whom stayed in my close circle throughout our 4 years and became my best friends. We were all so different, had varying ethnicities, interests of studies, and political and religious affiliations. Yet the common denominator that kept us together was far stronger than any of the layers of disparities and differences at the surface. See, at our core, we're the same. We are beings who seek connection and who bear our own crosses. And when we find someone willing to share our cross, all those layers are reduced to ash. I found these kinds of people all over Holy Cross, surely in my friends, but also in the chaplains and my professors, my coaches, and faculty. I never had to be alone, and that was a feeling that took some getting used to. And if for any reason I had still felt alone, all I had to do was open my Holy Cross email account, and I'd have a long list of people trying to reach me, and I still do. You see, that's the beauty I found at Holy Cross. Our past does not matter. Our hurt does not define us, and our differences do not divide us. Holy Cross has shown me how to interweave rather than to dichotomize, to embrace rather than to stigmatize, and to live rather than to just dream, because dreams are the lifeblood of our existence. And for what purpose is dreaming other than to command our actions in reality? My time on the Hill has taught me not to think outside the box, but rather to break the box that confines our thinking. I want to share with you all my Magis because I want for each and every one of us to plant seeds of warmth within ourselves and to nurture this bud to full blossom. Now, more than ever, we need friends. We need each other. And class of 2020, we have had a wild ending to our 4 years, but I couldn't think of a better class to go out with a bang. Thank you all for listening. Stay safe out there, everybody, and let's set the world on fire. Well, remotely for now.
Thanks, Eli. Really excellent talk. All right, now last of the 10, but certainly not least, Wardah is giving his talk. He's a history and peace and conflict studies concentration student. He has been involved in SPUD. He's been the SGA Director of Community Relations and a spring break immersion co-chair. The title of his talk is A Holy Cross Love Story.
I fell in love in Lehigh. It was a love that made me feel more fully alive and joyous. But this Holy Cross love story doesn't include any future plans of getting married in St. Joseph Chapel. Their names are Ruben and Christian. Before I move on, I have to make a few more disclaimers. There were others. Caroline, Anna, Seamus, Justin, a group in Galway, my SBIP people, and many more friends. It happened all over in Milady, Kimball, and Hogan. It even happened in another country. Wherever I went, I found myself falling in love with a Holy Cross friend who was filled with life and an eminent spirit. I guess we call it a purple spirit. For me and many of my friends, our love centered around simply being with one another and talking. In Ruben's room, the pit, Ruben, Christian, and I stayed up into the early morning, talking about our days, things we read, and our aspirations for the future. By the Hogan windows, I talked through many situations where I felt conflicted with Caroline and Anna. These conversations on meaning, purpose, my feelings, and dreams are what I'm most grateful for as I depart from Holy Cross. I suppose some of the credit goes to Holy Cross, the place that pushed me and my friends to reflect, discern, and discuss. Maybe it's a result of something in the chaplain's office, admissions, or Montserrat. I think most of the administration is crossing their fingers for the last one. Nevertheless, an intentional community was there. I know what you're thinking. I might sound like a Holy Cross Hallmark card that ironically says when you open it, ask more, ask more. but I felt a communion of that mysterious purple spirit many times on the Hill. I'm incredibly grateful to be part of such a special college. Sadly, physical distancing hinders many of us from fully sharing our days with Holy Cross friends. Although we may be apart, not even COVID-19 can cancel the love that we have shared. So let's follow Will Jenks, class of 54's words, and draw life and strength from this place, this bond, this faith, this love, this Holy Cross.
Thanks so much, Luke. And thank you so much to all the speakers. I have no idea how I can say anything at this point. Got me a little choked up here, but you guys did an amazing job, and those were such meaningful personal experiences of the campus that I feel so lucky to have gotten to listen, and also very lucky to get to share this with everyone as part of this program. I don't know how it's possible that the next thing I'm going to do is to call the judging team together, but that is what is the next thing. So Michelle, Marcus, Vasari, what I ask you to do now is to take the reflections that you have, the comments that you wrote down during these speeches, and talk to each other. We've set up a way that they can communicate separately from for what we're doing here. When you're ready to come back in, what I'm going to have you do then as a judging team is address the group and talk about what you discussed. So I'll let you go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna, while they're doing that, I'm going to post a question here to the speakers. I told them that it would be a softball, that they shouldn't worry about it. So what we'll do to fill the time a little bit here while the judges are working is I decided what I want to do, and this has got to be quick because we don't have a lot of time left, but I want each of you as the speakers to have a chance to thank someone that was, and just one person, you don't get to give a big list here, right? But to thank someone that you'd like to thank, that you think was a meaningful part of your Holy Cross experience. And I'll go ahead and prompt you in order here so you know when to speak. So Christine, are you ready to go first?
Sure. A person to thank my Holy Cross experience. Wow. That is a big question. I'll probably end up thanking, I'll probably actually end up thanking my mom. She was the person who was first with me on my Holy Cross tour. She's actually standing in front of me right now. And as she was for my talk. And especially just like throughout the whole COVID process in terms of being able to move away from campus and just transition into this entirely new lifestyle and write that speech. I think she had a massive part in that. So thanks to her.
That's great, Christine. Thank you. Dylan, you ready?
I'm gonna say, I'm cheating a little bit, but I'm gonna say my parents as a unit, as one person, as one entity. Yeah, it's I think similar to Christine. They've just my parents have just always been there for me, always supported me in anything that I do. And I'm moving back home next year to live with them. So I have started that journey a little bit earlier now. So, and it's been really nice. So.
Thanks. Julia.
So for the sake of not sounding like a broken record going around, I'll pick somebody other than my parents, so I hope they know how grateful I am. I'd like to shout out Lauren from Kimball, who made me an omelet for 4 years. And she gave me a shout out this morning on Holy Cross Dining, and she's been reaching out throughout quarantine. And it just reminds me that like the relationships that you make on campus, you know, they go beyond the classroom, and they go beyond the 4 years on the Hill for sure. So thank you, Lauren. Love you and miss you.
Thanks, Julia. That's great. Jana?
I would give my thank you to Father Harmon. He was one of the first people I met on the Holy Cross campus, and our relationship has really grown over the past few years. And even though he's not on campus and I'm not on campus, we're still in pretty close contact and communication.
Excellent. Thank you. Nuri?
This is a difficult question. It's hard to pick one person, but I've already thanked her. And I would say Professor Bridget Frankel in the Spanish department. She was one of my first professors freshman year. And she basically saw me grow up until senior year, has always been there for me, pushed me to do more. And I can't thank her enough.
Great, Nuri. Carrie?
There's so many people I could shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to my dad. It's my dad's birthday today, and he's also a Holy Cross alum. And he's been really supportive in my time at Holy Cross. It's been really great to find out for myself what a special community Holy Cross is and share it with him, which is something he's known for many years. So shout out to him.
Wonderful. Justin?
I'm gonna have to thank Tom Basilico. I met him on the escape retreat, and I think he knows how helpful he's been in my life.
Thanks, Justin. That's great. Well,
yeah, so similar to everyone else, there's countless people who deserve my thanks and appreciation for how much they helped me throughout the years, including you from biochemistry. But one person in particular, my biology department advisor, Mrs. Catherine Dumas of the bio department, her mentorship and advisor over 4 years and our constant, funny rhetoric back and forth was very appreciative. And I truly don't think I'm ever going to forget the anatomy of a pig from her bio 162 lab. So I'm definitely thankful for Mrs. Dumas for her help over the years.
great. Well, Eli?
Yeah, as everyone said, so many people to thank. It really takes a village. But one person I want to thank in particular is Marielle Aleman. I knew her first as a student, as a co-Odyssey mentor, and watched her grow into the amazing, incredible woman she is. And she's currently a program coordinator in the Office of Multicultural Education. And she never ceases to inspire me to be a better person for others. So that's to you, Marielle.
Excellent. Thank you, Eli. And Luke?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to thank everybody. There's so many professors, like just to shout out a few. Professor Joseph and Professor Ewell were two huge influences, and I have to give a big shout out to my grandmother who gave me a big push to look at Holy Cross, and I'm so thankful that I made a decision to go, and my parents who made it possible.
Thank you all. And I have to admit to you, I know that that's an unfair question, right? There's so many people that play a part of this community. And like, if you made me think of one person I would thank for the last year, I have no idea how I'd do that. So I thank you for dealing with my softball question with such meaningful answers and things. So the judges, I have no direct communication with them right now. If they are ready, they can jump in. I see them not ready, which is okay. So I will talk just a little bit more. This event, right? This idea of having seniors at the end of the year have a chance to share what their experience has been such a meaningful thing to be part of developing, even because what it has given me the chance to do, as well as people with the chaplain's office and student affairs and athletics and everyone that I worked with, right, is to hear so much more about all of the amazing stories that happen on this campus, right? And stories that are so deep and rich, that involve faculty members and staff members and other students in the dorms and majors. And it is a place that I have worked at for 18 years, but never had the sense of how rich the experience of each individual student is in their time going through here. And so I have felt very blessed, right, to be able to work with the Share Your Magis program and that we developed, because it gives me the chance to interact with students in this way. And I'm hoping tonight's event has been a chance for all of you out there. I have no idea how many people are watching, right? I've had the chance to hear some stories and to kind of hear how rich this overall environment is and all the different experiences. And I think community came up a lot of times, and I think that there's a real reason for that. That's a special thing about this place. And I think part of what has been so hard for us all in distance learning, right, has been trying to hold that community together the best way we can. And I feel happy that we at least could bring a small number of us together tonight to go through this talk, and hopefully we can share some of that community with all of you who are watching. Last thing I will say here, and then hopefully be able to turn it over to the judges pretty soon, is I want to congratulate the class of 2020. Everyone says it so many times that it almost seems silly to say it, but right, this is not the end of the year that any of us thought we would have. You know, I'm on campus in my office right now, and this is an evening that there should be people all over in the hills and everything, right? And that's not the environment we're in. But this is such an amazing place, right? That people have stuck together and have figured out ways to make this meaningful anyways. Working in higher ed is always an interesting thing because you see students go through 4 years on a campus. And after that 4 years on a campus, what they need to do is move on, right? They need to go on and do other things in the world. And it's a hard thing to see happen every year, even though you know that it is the next thing they need to do. So, you know, so many of us on this campus, but I congratulate the class of 2020. And I very much look forward to the chance of seeing you all come back to campus when we're all able to do that and have the chance to talk to each other and see each other in person again and hear about all the things that you're going on to do. All right, so the judges, it would have been a delightful thing to just throw it over to the judges after that. I think we will still give them a couple more minutes to do the work that they need to do. I don't blame in the slightest. This is a complicated thing because we had so many excellent talks tonight. I guess the last thing that I can say here is for those who don't know, and it's not, we don't make a big focus on it, right? But the students will, the top 3 speakers do actually get a cash prize with this. And typically what I would be doing is handing them certificates, right? When we're ready for this. So like, I'm just, we're having an interesting technical issue here. Yes, I agree, Jim. I don't see them on the call anymore. Hopefully they will be able to join back in. So 2 of the judges are no longer on this stream. They're on a separate stream and we'll need them to come back in. Vasari is on this stream still. So hopefully she can help us reconnect with the judges when they're able to do that. All right, sorry, we're having technical connections with the judges being able to connect back in here. We should be able to do that pretty soon. Thank you for your patience as we get to the end here of talking about this event. I've joked with the students, right, that this is the time that I would having to be tap dance, right, to do the tap dancing to fill the time. Ended up with a little more of that tap dancing time than I thought and actually have the inability to actually tap dance. So got any more softballs for us, says Julia. Yeah, that's a great one. So they're letting me know that they, the speakers are interested in me giving them more questions, right? Or wondering if I actually can tap dance. So I can't actually tap dance, but I'll give you another softball question. So if you think back to first year, and a lot of you did this already, right? But what is the thing that stands out in your mind right now as being the strongest element, the thing that stands out of your first year experience? And I won't call on you one at a time, but if people want to jump in, let's go ahead and do that.
I can go ahead and speak first. So for me personally, my experiences with the Montserrat program, I absolutely loved. With Professor Ginny Ryan, the class was exploring differences in the fall and then modifying technologies in the spring. In our class of about 15 or so, we all took part at community-based learning sites throughout the greater Worcester community. And what was neat about her course is that you can do a CBL on anything. So we had students participating in, working with elderly, teaching, English as a second language to students in Worcester. So it was a whole range of experiences that everyone was having with their CBL, yet it all tied into the coursework that we were doing. And it really solidified my learning experience in that class. So I guess for my first year, I would say CBL with Professor Ginny Ryan.
Excellent, Will. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in with a first year memory?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. My first semester, first year, I came in initially as a biology major, and I ended up taking Intro to Psychology with Professor Senecal. And anyone who has had him knows how incredible of a professor he is, and he completely changed my mind, not intentionally, but he really just ignited this huge interest I had in psychology, and so I ended up taking more psychology classes, and before I knew it, I was in the psychology major. So yeah, definitely Professor Senecal.
Thanks, Eli. Anyone else want to jump in? It sounds like the judges need about 2 more minutes.
I think the thing that stands out for me about freshman year was just that I was afraid way more than I ever should have been. And I think on one hand, it kind of hurts me that I didn't get involved more quickly in the Holy Cross community in a deep way. But on the other hand, it's the biggest lesson that I learned at Holy Cross, and I'm very grateful for that lesson that I was able to develop over the years and become involved.
And Justin, that's something we talk a lot about with first year students, right? Is a lot of times you have a plan of what college is going to be, and a lot of first year is just figuring out the track you're actually going to follow up on. Time for one more reflection on first year.
I can jump in. Yeah. So my first year, I actually had the opportunity to participate in the FRAP program, so research program. And I went into Holy Cross thinking that I wanted to be a bio major. So through the FRAP program, I was able to work in a bio lab. And I think that experience really helped me because I realized that it wasn't for me. And at the same time, I was able to gain those lab skills, who knows when I might use them in the future, and get to know a professor in the bio department. So definitely a very meaningful experience. I think the judges are back. So I'll pass it back to you, Professor Bellin.
Thanks, Nuri. And I thank all of you for prompting me along there as a community when I was not sure what to do to keep us going. So I see Marcus is back here. Let's see, Michelle is back. So if I am able to, I will turn it over to the judges. And thank you for your work, and let's hear what you talked about.
So first of all, huge congratulations to all of our speakers. You all made our work so very hard, and that's why you had to chat for so long while you were waiting for us to sort it all out. We had the pleasure of hearing 10 tremendous speakers reflecting on your 4 years at Holy Cross, and it was quite something. So thank you to each one of you. We were given the very difficult task, thank you very much, Professor Bellin, of choosing only 3 of you, and then I was given the very difficult task of announcing who those 3 are. And so, without further ado, I would like to congratulate our 3rd place winner, Eli Nasser. Woohoo!
All right, Eli. So Eli, if you were here, I would be handing you the certificate. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And followed very closely, I would like to congratulate our 2nd place winner, Jana Hardy. Woohoo!
All right, Jana, congratulations.
Thank you.
Excellent talk.
Thank you.
And for the next round of jazz hands and congratulations, that will go to Dylan Clancy for the 1st place prize. Congratulations, Dylan.
Congratulations, Dylan.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you all very much. This was an incredible night. Thank you for dealing with the technical things on my end. I couldn't tell if anyone could see me, and then I had to fill time more than I was used to doing. But I think most importantly, it was an incredible group of talks. I thank the judges so much for their work trying to pull these together at the end. And like I said earlier, congratulations to the class of 2020. You guys were you're a very special class. You've gone through crazy stuff this year, but you are, such a resilient group, such an incredible community. And I think it's just so hard that we can't all be together in person to celebrate this week. But I'm so glad we could have an event like this. So thank you all very much. Thank you all for watching on the live stream, and go Holy Cross.